Hey pre-calc students, we are going to do, today we're going to multiply vectors by scalars, okay? And that just means multiply the vectors by a number. And that means they get longer or shorter. So in this example that they showed you right here, they show you that the original vector is 2, 4, okay? So it's over 2, up 4. Okay, so that's how you basically name the vector according to the terminating point on this one. So yeah, 2, 4, and they want you to multiply it by 2. So if you take 2 and multiply it by 2, you get 4. And if you take 2 and multiply it by, or 4 and multiply it by 2, you get 8. So that's all you're doing. You can see they did it here. You're just taking each of the components of the vector and you're multiplying it by the scalar 2. So they just did 2 times 2 and 2 times 4. And then you can see by multiplying by 2, it just makes it twice as long. Okay, because your new vector ends up being 4, 8. Okay, and that's twice as long as the vector 2, 4. So that's as easy as it can get right there. Now, I'm going to show you how to multiply it. You know, this is no big deal, but multiplying it by a half instead, because you're going to be doing that since it fits better on the worksheet. So we're going to multiply 2, 4. We're going to multiply vector b, okay? We're going to multiply it by 1/2. Okay, so if I take the vector b and I do 1/2 times 2, and I do 1/2 times 4, okay, I'm going to get my new vector. So a half of 2 is 1, and a half of 4 is 2. So now this is my new vector, b, multiplied by 1/2, okay? So this is a half of b. All right, and so that means our new vector is over 1 up 2. So it looks like this. And it is half as long as the red one. Okay? So that's how you do that. So now, on to multiplying by negatives. It's really the same thing, except instead of continuing in the same direction, it goes in the complete opposite direction. So if you multiply a vector, say b, that same vector, 2, 4, okay? You multiply that by -2 this time. Then 2 times -2 is -4, so that's where they get that, -4. And -2 times 4 is -8. So it's, instead of, growing twice as long going in the same direction, it's actually going to grow twice as long still, but it's going to go in the opposite direction. So that's the only difference. So notice they did, to graph this, -4, -8. That's how they figured that out. Okay? And again, we're going to do vector b this time, but we're going to do it by -1/2 this time. So if we take vector b and we multiply it by -1/2, -1/2 times 2, and -1/2 times 4, okay? Again, a half of 2 is 1, so it's going to be 1, but it's going to be negative. And then a half of 4 is 2, but again, it's going to be negative. So I'm doing here -1/2, -1/2, b, that vector is now -1, -2. So if I go on my graph here and I want to graph it, I go -1, go left 1, and down 2. And that's where my, my vector ends up being. Notice now it's going in the opposite direction, but it's half of the length of the red vector. So that's how you're going to do these. On your worksheet, I've kind of, changed it a little bit on yours. Yours should have the correct typing and everything. So scale each of the vectors below by a half and by a negative half. You might get a decimal, that's okay. Just, like if you end up getting, let's say on this one, this only has 3, so if you take half of that, it's going to be 1.5. So, instead of going up 3, you're going to go up 1.5, okay? So don't worry about that. Just use decimals. And then I added in a vector that you can multiply by 2 and negative 2. Since that's the original number they wanted you to do, I added in a shorter vector so it'll fit on the graph. So vector D is going to be 0, 2. So add that into your thing if it's not already there. I might even add it for you, but you're going to multiply that vector by 2 and negative 2. But all these other ones, you're going to do 1/2 and negative 1/2.